The Voynich Manuscript, the book that refuses to be read. There's a book locked away in a library, a real book. You can go see it. You can look at every page, but there's one problem. Nobody can read it. Not because it's damaged, not because it's written in a rare language, but because no one on Earth knows what the language is. Historians have tried, linguists have tried, cryptographers, the people who break codes for a living, have tried, and every single one of them has failed. And what makes this even more disturbing is, we're not even sure if it's a real language at all, because this book might have been designed to never be understood. The discovery. In 1912, a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich traveled to Italy looking for old manuscripts he could buy and resell. He ended up inside a quiet Jesuit college library, the kind of place where books had been sitting untouched for centuries. Dust, silence, shelves full of forgotten knowledge. And at first, everything he found was exactly what you'd expect. Religious texts, Latin manuscripts, historical documents, valuable but predictable, until he came across one book that didn't fit. It was thick, handwritten, old, but the moment he opened it, something felt wrong. The pages were filled with symbols he didn't recognize, not similar to anything, not even close. At first, he assumed it was just written in an obscure or regional language, but as he flipped through more pages, that explanation stopped making sense, because the writing wasn't just unfamiliar, it was completely alien. And then he noticed the drawings, and that's when the mystery got worse. The book we now call the Voynich Manuscript, looks like it should make sense. At a glance, it feels like a scientific text, like something a medieval scholar might have written. But the longer you look, the more it falls apart. There are pages filled with plants, detailed, careful drawings, but not one of those plants exists. Some look close to real species, but then you notice something is always off. The leaves are wrong. The stems don't connect properly. The roots look impossible. It's like someone tried to draw real plants from memory without ever actually seeing them. Then there are entire sections filled with diagrams, perfect circles, intricate patterns, symbols arranged like star charts. Some people believe these represent astronomy. Others think they're something else entirely, because nothing lines up with known systems. And then, you reach the section that makes most people uncomfortable. Pages and pages of small human figures, mostly women, floating in what looks like green liquid, connected by tubes, flowing through strange, almost mechanical systems. It looks biological, but also artificial, like anatomy mixed with something else. And the more you stare at these images, the more you start to feel like they weren't drawn randomly. They were drawn with purpose, but a purpose we can't understand. The language. But the real mystery isn't the drawings, it's the text. The writing system inside the Voynich manuscript is completely unknown. Experts call it Voynichese, and here's what makes it so frustrating. At first glance, it looks exactly like a real language. Words repeat in patterns. Some symbols appear more often than others. There's structure, consistency, even something that looks like grammar. If you didn't know better, you would assume it could be translated. But the moment experts try to decode it, everything breaks. Because the patterns don't behave the way real languages do. Certain words appear in places they shouldn't. Some patterns are too perfect. Others make no sense at all. It's like the manuscript is following rules, but not the right ones. And this creates a strange contradiction, because the text is clearly not random. but it also doesn't seem meaningful, which leads to a very uncomfortable question. What are we actually looking at? The failure of experts. Over the last century, some of the smartest people in the world have tried to solve this. Professional cryptographers, linguists, mathematicians, even code breakers who worked during wartime. The kind of people who could take encrypted enemy messages and turn them into readable information. And yet, this book defeated all of them. No one has ever translated a single full sentence. Not one. And over time, that failure started to change how people saw the manuscript. At first, it was treated like a puzzle, something difficult but solvable. But now, some researchers believe that might have been the wrong assumption from the beginning, because maybe the reason no one can decode it is because there's nothing to decode. Theories. There are dozens of theories about what the manuscript could be. Some believe it's a lost scientific text, a book containing knowledge that was too advanced or too obscure for its time. Others think it's written in a completely unknown language, a language that no longer exists. But then, there's the theory that keeps coming back, that the manuscript is a hoax, an incredibly elaborate fake, created to look valuable, to look meaningful, but ultimately, to deceive. And normally, that would make sense, except for one problem. Carbon dating places the manuscript in the early 1400s, and it's not just a few pages, it's over 200. Every page carefully written, every symbol consistent. Who would spend that much time creating something so detailed if it meant nothing? Unless that was the point. The modern twist. Recently, a new idea started gaining attention. Not one that solves the manuscript, but one that might explain how it was made. A study published in Cryptologia approached the mystery from a completely different angle. Instead of asking, "What does it say?" they asked, "What if we tried to recreate it?" The study was led by science journalist Michael Greshko, and his goal wasn't to decode the manuscript. It was to test something much simpler. Could someone in the 1400s realistically create a text like this? One that looks structured, feels like a language, but can't be understood? The Naibe cipher. What he came up with was something called the Naibe cipher, and it changes everything. Because instead of trying to read the manuscript, it explains how to generate one. The method starts with normal text. Latin, Italian, something real. Then that text is broken into small pieces, groups of letters, and those groups are transformed using substitution tables. But here's where it gets interesting. Randomness is introduced into the process, using simple tools, dice, playing cards, objects that existed in the 1400s. So now, instead of a direct translation, you get controlled chaos. A system that produces text that looks structured, but isn't directly readable. And when researchers compared the results, they found something unsettling. The generated text looked strikingly similar to the Voynich Manuscript. Same kind of patterns, same kind of repetition, same kind of strange consistency. Which means, a person in the medieval period could have created something like this. Not by accident, but intentionally. So now, the mystery changes. Because the question is no longer, what does the manuscript say? Now the question is, was it ever supposed to say anything at all? Because if this new idea is correct, then the Voynich Manuscript might not be a lost language, or a hidden message, or secret knowledge waiting to be unlocked. It might be something far stranger. A book, carefully designed to look meaningful, to feel important, to convince anyone who sees it that there's something hidden inside, when in reality, there might be nothing there at all. And somehow, that idea is even more unsettling, because it means the mystery was never meant to be solved, only experienced. If you enjoy stories like this, where the deeper you look, the less sense things make sure to stick around, because sometimes the most disturbing mysteries aren't the ones with hidden answers. They're the ones that were never meant to have one.